Jay here for Stretford, Paddock, and this is the Paper Talk. And as you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and the sun is sort of shining, but it doesn't feel that way after the Reds' 3-1 loss to Chelsea yesterday. United out of the FA Cup, losing at Wembley, of course. And as you'd expect, much of the talk in the papers this morning focuses on that defeat and the aftermath. First up is the injury to Eric Bailly. We saw him get stretchered off. We saw him getting gas and air. We heard that he'd been airlifted to hospital, so that was obviously quite worrying. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did give an update after the game saying that, from what we gather, it doesn't look too serious, if you can call going to hospital not too serious. The update that he had on Eric Bailly was that Eric is in hospital, going through all the routine checks and protocols. So he didn't really go into much detail, but from what we gather, it isn't too serious at the time of recording this. If we hear anything else, any updates, we'll obviously post them on social media and keep you updated onto the fitness and the health of Eric Bailly. Is he injury prone? Is he unlucky? Whatever you want to call it. I mean, he clashed with his own player yesterday and ended up going off in what would have been a big game for him. He just can't seem to get a run in the Manchester United side. Another talking point from yesterday that's in the papers this morning was David De Gea. Now, you could maybe look at him for the first goal. If you're being harsh, you could even look at him for the third, but that's up for debate. There's no debate about the second goal. David De Gea should have saved it. He didn't, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did address that in the press conference afterwards. Obviously, he was asked a lot of questions about David De Gea, and he said David knows he should save that 100 times out of 100. I think he's talking about the second goal, but that's football for you. It's done. Move on. I know he's a mentally strong person and goalkeeper. So, as he always does, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when he's questioned about not just David De Gea, but other players, he usually defends them, at least in public. He'll stick up for them. He has been questioned about David De Gea, going back to last season, where the keeper made a couple of errors towards the end of the season that ended up costing United points. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer stuck up for him and defended him, and that's what he's doing now. But it just keeps raising these questions of whether he should still be the number one, whether Dean Henderson is the answer. I don't want to keep going on about this because we covered it in the match review yesterday. We covered it in the fan cams. Joe spoke about it extensively. Steve Howson, Adam McCullough, everyone, we all spoke about it. So we've covered that. You guys can get involved in the comments, let you know what you think. But obviously, Ole's defending his goalkeeper, as you'd expect him to. But there are questions there that perhaps need to be answered. Maybe not now because we've got 2 league games left and then the Europa League. But maybe in the summer, there's a decision to be made, especially, as I said earlier, with Dean Henderson waiting in the wings, as it were. There's also transfer rumours doing the rounds. Now, one of the rumours currently doing the rounds this morning is that Manchester United could be looking for alternatives to Jadon Sancho. We'll get to him a little bit more detail later on. But Jadon Sancho has been heavily linked with United for the past year or so, maybe even longer. I can't remember, ever since he left City, really. Now, the latest news was that United and Dortmund had come to some sort of impasse over the transfer fee. Dortmund wanting around £110 million. Manchester United willing to pay a little bit less than that. Some reports were 50 million. I think that was exaggerated. I think we will pay a little more than 50 million, but we're not quite there yet in terms of what Dortmund want and what we're willing to ask, what we're willing to offer. So the latest rumours are that we're looking at alternatives. This has done the rounds in a few of the papers. I think the Mirror and a couple of others had it. And one of those options is reportedly Ismail Azar from Watford. Now, I actually rate Azar. When we did our match preview for the Watford game, seems like an eternity ago, early on in this season, I pointed him out as a player that we should be looking at. Not to buy, but just a player we should be looking at in terms of he could cause United problems. And he's had a really good season. I think he's got 5 goals and 5 assists in 26 games for a side that have been pretty much rooted to the bottom for much of the campaign. Now, we saw him against Liverpool where he bagged a brace and got an assist as well. Pretty unlucky, really, not to get a hat-trick. He could have had a hat-trick that day, which would have made me want to get him even more. But regardless of just one game, one performance, he's having a good season. He's only 22 years old. He's an exciting attacking player. I think he's more or less a winger, but he's a modern winger in the sense that he can play as almost like an inside forward, as they used to call him, similar to the types of players we've got here. Now, it seems to be either Sancho or Zar, and obviously you'd prefer Jadon Sancho because he's just a more talented player, he's a better player, he's more exciting, and he's a little bit younger as well. So, Zar's 22, Sancho's a little bit younger than that. You'd expect Sancho to come in here and just sort of hit the ground running, but it's probably not going to be the most popular opinion. But I don't understand why we can't get both. I know everyone will say, well, you can't go out and buy 2 players in the same position, but I just don't get the mentality of why we can't. I mean, we need options. And yes, I would like to see Jadon Sancho, and yes, we've got Mason Greenwood, and we've got Marcus Rashford, and we've got Anthony Martial, but we should be trying to buy more than just one player, one attacking player in the summer. I really do. And people say, well, we haven't got the money. We haven't got money for that, especially with the coronavirus. This club has got money, and I don't want to turn this into an anti-Glazer rant, but we know that I will. We know that the owners take money out of this club, regardless of whether there's a pandemic going on or not. They take money out every quarter. I think it's around 30 million or whatever it is every quarter. We've got money to spend. We've still got sponsorship deals. We've still got television revenue coming in. Yes, we've not got the match day revenue, but this club is still worth a lot of money and has a lot of money. And we've also got lots of players on the payroll that aren't playing for Manchester United. They're not even kicking a ball, and they're getting paid loads of money. Alexis Sanchez, Jesse Lingard, Andreas Pereira, Phil Jones. I don't want to keep going on, but these players, if they're not going to play, that's probably in excess of £1 million a week in wages. So why are we not looking to offload some of that and maybe get some money in and go for more than one attacking option? We need to get out of this mentality, and I'm guilty of it as well, of just thinking it's either Sancho or bust. That's the one attacking player we can get, and that's it. I remember in 2007 we won the title, and we went out that summer and we bought Nani, we bought Anderson, we bought Owen Hargreaves, we bought Tevez. We strengthened, and we just won the title. And we didn't say, oh well, we've already got Rooney and Ronaldo, we don't need another attacker. We've already got Michael Carrick, we don't need another two midfielders. We went out and we strengthened, and yet now we just seem to be sort of settling. And I get, as I said earlier, it's a bit of an unknown time with what's going on, with no fans at the ground and things like that. But we should be able to go out and buy more than one attacking option. And if we do that, I wouldn't have a problem with us buying Zaha. But at the moment, it looks like it's going to be either or. Likelihood is it's going to be Jadon Sancho. We know that United are heavily interested in him. We know that, as far as we can tell, he's willing to come. There was a few reports over the weekend that the ball's in his court, as they like to say, that it was up to him to try and force through a move. I don't think he can do that. He can't make Manchester United pay the figure that Dortmund want. I don't think it is down to Jadon Sancho at all. I think it's down to Manchester United to put up the money that Dortmund need and Dortmund want, So that's where that transfer is. We know that. Ismail Assar looking like being an alternative. Personally, I'd be quite happy to see them both come. People may think I'm a little bit off my head and we don't need loads of attackers, but you know, I still remember the days when Manchester United were focusing on challenging for titles and not just settling for top four. But there you go. Another transfer rumour that's doing the rounds this morning, that's sort of come out of, I think this came out of Italy, and this is United being linked with Sporting Lisbon star Nuno Mendes. He's an 18-year-old defender. He was linked with Liverpool. Now, Italian publication Calcio Mercato, forgive me if I pronounced that wrong, have said that United could be in for him, and they're keen on signing him, that he has a special bond with Cristiano Ronaldo, though, so he may end up going to Juventus. But United are looking at him now. He can play a sort of, I think he can play almost anywhere along the defence, but he's mainly been used as a left wing-back, and he is only a kid, as I said. He's 18 years old. I don't want to be too knee-jerk after yesterday, because what happens when you have a bad performance and a bad result, then all of a sudden you're linked with everyone and everyone thinks, well, we need to strengthen there. Yeah, we need a left-back, we need a defender, we need an attacker, we need a midfielder. I mean, yes, United do need strengthening pretty much in lots of positions. Whether this 18-year-old Nuno Mendes is going to come to Old Trafford is the answer. I'm not really sure. I don't know a lot about him, but he's obviously an exciting player who's doing well at Sporting. We saw yesterday Brandon Williams didn't have his greatest game, but we know we've got options at left back. We've got Williams, we've got Shaw, Timothy Fosu-Mensah even played there. Earlier on in the season, Axel Tuanzebe played there, although that's not his natural position. So we do have lots of left back options. So whether we'll be in for a left back this summer, I'm not so sure. We'll see how that one pans out. I'd probably label that or file that under doubtful. But he is an exciting young player, and we may have to go head-to-head with Liverpool, though, if we want him, and even Juventus, so it's not going to be easy if we want to get him. Another story, a bit more of a happier story, if you will, is that Mason Greenwood is set to be offered a new deal. Now, we know Mason Greenwood just signed a deal, apparently, or reportedly, for 25 grand a week, which for an 18-year-old is obviously a lot of money, and I think he's worth every penny. But United could look to increase that. Some reports suggesting that we'll even double that wage, or it could be around, not quite double, but around the £40,000 a week mark, because Manchester United are keen to sign him, keep him signed down to a really long-term deal, and make sure that he's extremely happy here at Old Trafford, which, to be fair, he does seem happy. I said the other day that there were reports from The Athletic, I think it was Andy Mitten on The Athletic Talk of the Devils podcast, was saying that Juventus came in for Mason Greenwood about a year ago. When he was 17, they saw what talent he was, they were interested in him, and they made an offer, a wage offer for him, and that he turned them down. He wasn't interested. He wanted to stay here at Manchester United, and he obviously signed a deal at Manchester United for what's believed to be around 25 grand a week. Now there's reports that United are looking to increase that, put him on an even longer term deal for around 40k a week, which we expect to go up. It'll have sort of caveats in it that if he makes so many appearances, if he scores so many goals, if we qualify for the Champions League, you know how these deal works. It's not just going to be a sort of a set amount every week. It'll go up depending on appearances and things like that. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Anything that involves Mason Greenwood signing a longer term for Manchester United is a good thing. We've got him on a deal anyway, but it looks like the club are keen to make sure that we really tie him down, and you can understand why, because the last couple of games he's not really had much of a chance, and he hasn't really done a lot. But we know this season he's been phenomenal. I mean, he's practically a first-team player now. We saw Daniel James starting yesterday. He had a very quiet game, and I think the sort of the common logic now amongst not just Manchester United fans, but by the looks of it amongst the coaching staff as well, is that Mason Greenwood is a first-team player, so he's probably going to get a new deal, or it looks like he could get a new deal that reflects that. One other transfer, the other way that's doing the rounds, the transfer story that's doing the rounds, is Alexis Sanchez. Remember him? Now, obviously, he's been at Inter. He's actually doing quite well there, and they seem to be keen on him, keen on sort of keeping him. Now, the Inter CEO, I think he's called Beppe Marotta, has been speaking about some of the players that they're interested in, some of the players they've got, and he's mentioned Alexis Sanchez. And he said, we know him, we're happy, we'll make more targeted assessments because we have him at our disposal. We'll see what we can do. So he's been linked, well, we know this, he's been linked with a move to Inter. He was already there, but he's been linked with a permanent move to Inter. And I think it's important that United do in the summer, or the transfer window, whatever you want to call it, get some of these players off our books. Alexis Sanchez is on massive money. He's on around £400,000 a week, which goes up to £500,000, I think, on appearances again and things like that, but he doesn't make any appearances for Manchester United. But we need to get some of these players off our books if that's going to help, if that's going to help fund transfers. We need to start signing some players, and we don't just want to bring in Jadon Sancho. I'm not trying to be sort of melodramatic after yesterday's defeat, but it did show us that we are a little bit light in terms of the squad. We brought in one or two players. Yes, we were unlucky with injuries, and I don't want to turn this into a United versus Chelsea match review, but it did give us a little bit of a wake-up call. We've got a long way to go, Manchester United, till we're challenging again for the titles and things like that, and that's where this club should be. So we need to bring in a few players, and if we need to sell players to do that, we've got players to go. We know we've got players on our books that aren't getting a look in here at Manchester United. I mentioned them earlier, the likes of Lingard, the likes of Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, Marcus Rojo, and Alexis Sanchez is top of that list. He's eating up a massive chunk of the wage budget, and we need to get him moved on, and it looks like Inter are keen on that deal, and I'm guessing Manchester United are as well, so hopefully he can go out and we can get some more players coming in. Guys, do get involved in the comments. Let us know what stories you've heard, what players you'd like to see come to Manchester United. Is it all about Jadon Sancho? Would you like to see someone like Ismaila Sarr come to United? Do you think we can buy both, or I'm just off my head on that one? As always, we appreciate all the support we've been getting. Loads of great comments, loads of likes, loads of shares and subscribes. So we've got some good stuff coming up as well. Me and Ronaldo Brown will have the Tier 1 Transfer podcast coming up tomorrow. You'll have Howson's Brew later on today and all that other good stuff. And further down the line, we'll be looking forward to the West Ham game as well. So it's not a great day this morning. We're out of the FA Cup, but we're still in with a chance of top four. It's not all doom and gloom. The sun's sort of shining. I'm here at Old Trafford. I've been Jay. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.